Hello everyone, my name is Terendi. I'm from English Literature 8 2018. I will bring a topic about the late Victorian. In 1859, Charles Darwin had published on the origin of species by means of natural selection. Historians, philosophers, and scientists were all beginning to apply the idea of evolution to new areas of study of the human experience. Traditional conceptions of man's nature and place in the world were, as a consequence, under threat. Walter Pater summed the process in 1866 by stating that modern thought is distinguished from ancient by its cultivation of the relative spirit in place of the absolute. The economic crisis of the 1840s was long past, but the fierce political debates that led first to the Second Reform Act in 1867 and then to the battles for the enfranchisement of women were accompanied by a deepening crisis of belief. The novel, late Victorian fiction, may express doubts and uncertainties, but in aesthetic terms it displays a new sophistication and self-confidence. The expatriate American novelist Henry James wrote in 1884 that until recently the English novel had no air of having a theory, a conviction, a consciousness of itself behind it. Its acquisition of these things was due no small part to Marianne Evans, better known as George Eliot. Initially a critic and translator, she was influenced after the loss of her Christian faith by the ideas of Ludwig Feuerbach and Auguste Comte. A advanced intellectual interest combined with a sophisticated sense of the novel form to shape her remarkable fiction. Her early novels are Adam Bede, The Mill of the Floss, and Silas Marner are closely observed studies of English rural life that offer, at the same time, complex contemporary ideas and a subtle tracing of moral issues. Her masterpiece, Middlemarch, is an unprecedentedly full study of the life of a provincial town, focused on the thwarted idealism of her two principal characters. George Eliot is a realist, but a realist involved a scientific analysis of the interior process of social and personal existence. Victorian literary theatre. Early Victorian drama was a popular art form, appealing to a uneducated audience that demanded emotional excitement rather than intellectual subtlety. Vivacious melodramas did not, however, hold exclusive possession of the stage. The mid-century saw livery comedies by Dion Bosissault and Tom Taylor. In the 1860s, T.W. Robertson pioneered a new realist drama, an achievement later celebrated by author Wing Pinero in his charming sentimental comedy Trilogy of the Walls. The 1890s were, however, the outstanding decade of dramatic innovation. Oscar Wilde crowned his brief career as a playwright with one of the few great high comedies in English. The importance of being earnest. At the same time, the influence of Norwegian playwright Henrik Ibsen was helping to produce a new genre of serious problem plays, such as Pinero's The Second Mrs. Tanqueray. J.T. Grant founded the Independent Theatre in 1891 to foster such work and staged there the first plays of George Bernard Shaw and translations of Ibsen. Victorian literary comedy. Victorian literature began with such humorous books as Sarton Resortus and the Pickwick Paper. Despite the crisis of faith, the condition of England question, and the edge of modernism, this note was sustained throughout the century. The comic novels of Dickens and Thackeray, the Squibs sketches and like verse of Thomas Hood and Douglas Jerrold, the nonsense of Edward Lear and Lewis Carroll, the humors like fiction of Jeremy Kay and George Grossmith and his brother Wendell Grossmith are proof that his age, so often remembered for its gloomy rectitude, may in fact have been the greatest era of comic writing in English literature. Okay, thanks for your. Okay, that's all. I could say thank you for your attention, everyone, and see you.